Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in today's podcast, we're going to be reviewing the big matches that took place over the weekend. Man City running away 4-0 winners over Fulham. And of course, Arsenal pegging back Manchester United 1-0 and maintaining the pressure on Man City at the top of the table. Now, joining me this evening to review these matches and to talk some EPL football, we have returning to the podcast, Christophe.
Good to be back.
Yes, indeed, Christophe. A number of big results taking place over the weekend again, and it's the penultimate weekend before D-Day. The final day of the season is coming up shortly. But again, we see the two big teams who are vying for the title coming up again with big wins. Of course, Man City running away 4-0 winners over Fulham and really closing that gap in terms of the goal difference on Arsenal. And of course, Arsenal again getting the 3 points that they needed and keeping the pressure on City, having gone to Old Trafford and come away victorious, a 1-goal win there. But Christophe, talk to us. Let's jump in by looking at Man City versus Fulham. How did you see that one? Routine win for City, or did you see anything outside the ordinary?
No, I mean that's what we expected. That's what I had said it would be 4 or 5-0. City is working hard to try and kind of close that goal difference gap. I think they're weary of it. Even though I think City doesn't drop any points and go on to win on the final day, it still goes to the final day. But City is very weary of the goal difference, so they're trying their best to destroy the goal difference. And it's almost basically obliterated. I think it's just a 3-goal advantage for Arsenal in terms of goal difference at the moment. So
Yeah,
um
definitely. I mean, the only major obstacle I would say for Man City is that game in hand that they will be playing midweek versus Spurs. Spurs still have a glimmer of a hope of finishing in that top four. Aston Villa having drawn with Liverpool today. That game a mouth-watering fixture there, ending 3-3. And still, the door is slightly cracked for Spurs. However, Spurs will definitely need 2 victories on the bounce to stand any chance of surpassing Aston Villa for that fourth spot. And of course, the first of those victories has to come versus Man City. So that should definitely be a mouth-watering clash, Christophe, coming up. Can Spurs do Arsenal the favor they so desperately need?
no. Tottenham just not good enough at the moment. They have completely run out of steam. I mean, yeah, they won 2-1 against Burnley, but I mean it's Burnley. Burnley has not.
Right, but I mean, over the years, they have been one of those bogey teams for City, Christoph, and this game, of course, being played at the home of Spurs as well. And Man City have really struggled to get results that stadium.
Not going to make a difference. Be, there's no home field advantage for Spurs, really. For a lot of teams, there is no home field advantage. Arsenal going away to Burnley is not a home advantage for Burnley. It doesn't matter where Burnley plays Arsenal. Arsenal have the advantage. So Spurs, that is the case with Spurs. Against City, there is no home field advantage except maybe when they play probably Liverpool. There there's no advantage to be taken from being home or away. And the only
Well,
person who gets the
I would
advantage is
want to
City.
disagree with Christoph. I mean, if you look at the history of these two teams, Man City have struggled to get victories at Spurs. And this is another opportunity for Spurs to really peg them. And that if they were to be
Tottenham
pegged back,
has no Tottenham currently they won one. They won one of their last five. Right? They what lost three, draw one, and win one. Tottenham have no momentum coming into this game. Yes, if they get 2 wins back to back, they would definitely secure that Champions League spot. But I don't see it happening. Aston Villa are just um that much better at the moment. They've played excellent all season. All kudos go to the players and to Emery with his superb tactics. Specifically, we'd say Ollie Watkins and Leon Bailey had a brilliant seasons. Um, but Tottenham just out of steam, and it's what I said at the beginning of the season that I think Postapoglu, good coach. We saw good tactics coming out, playing well, but I did not think that Tottenham would have that energy, that momentum for the end of the season push. So I think they've run out of steam at the moment. I don't see them beating City. I don't even see them holding City to a draw, to be honest.
Well, that is definitely, I mean, all eyes will be on that game. And I mean, Arsenal will be supporting their long rivals, Christoph. Can you believe it? Arsenal banking on Spurs to really do them a favor in getting some points off Man City. And, the fans will definitely be glued come. I think this one should be taking place on Wednesday, if memory serves me correctly, and
Mhm.
it should be a mouth-watering fixture. All eyes, all attention should be on that game. It's one of those lone fixtures that the fans will be drawn to. But again, Christoph, all Arsenal can do is pretty much do their part of the job. And that is exactly what they did versus a stubborn Manchester United team. How did you see that game, Christoph? Did it go as planned, or did you see something different from United in this game as opposed to their usual counter-attacking football?
No, I think Arsenal game plan was to leave nothing to chance, go and get the win and see out the game. Arsenal, even though we know City were cutting down the goal difference, I think Arsenal were of weary of potentially um Man United potentially getting some type of result, and we're not keen to play their game. So Arsenal sat back and played on the counter attack and allowed United the possession because we know they're not going to break you down and score goals. They have to counter attack to win. So I think all went to plan for Arsenal.
Definitely. I must say, Arteta really turned in the tactics, and we saw again where the selection of Trossard, was a good one in that regard. Martinelli of late have been benched, you know, clear cut benching there from Arteta, and that left hand side of the Gunners attack have been bearing fruit, with Trossard coming in at times. Jesus have been tried there as well, but it might have been that switch up front, Christoph, playing Kai Havertz in what I would classify as that false nine role. But you were saying that role, Christoph, is more likened to that of Muller, who plays for Bayern Munich, as opposed to Firmino, who once applied his trade for Liverpool. Give us your take on that role, Christoph. Is it clear cut role for Kai Havertz where pretty much it's unique to his skill set? Or could someone else, possibly a Jesus, play that role within the Arsenal setup?
Um, the role that Kai Havertz is playing, I'm not sure it's definitely unique to Havertz. I said previously that I thought it was a Reimdeuter role. I still believe that, but I think it's actually a hybrid between Reimdeuter and a false nine role.
Oh, so
That
it's not a clear cut false
it,
nine then, so
it's
to
not a
speak.
clear false nine. It is he will play as a false nine as needed, and he plays as a Reimdeuter as a situational.
Situation. And definitely he has been coming up with the goods, and the results are there for us to see. Arsenal pretty much unbeaten ever since Kai Havertz have really made that role into his own. And if Arsenal were to lift the title, he would definitely be one of those unsung heroes. But we'll have to wait and see, Christoph. I mean, you have given up all hope from, I mean, game weeks ago, so to speak. But mathematically, Arsenal is still within a shot, and it will definitely go down to that final day. If Man City were to see off Spurs, then their final game would be versus West Ham, and Arsenal will face a stubborn Everton team, Christoph. Is that game being played at the Emirates, or is it away to Everton?
That game will be played at the Emirates.
So, I mean, mathematically speaking, or from a probability point of view, you should get the better of what I would say is a very stubborn Everton team, not unresilient as well. I mean, credit must go to this Everton team, Christophe, having points deducted and the psychological effect that may have had on the squad. But Sean Dyche have managed to still keep these guys afloat and have even avoided what you would classify as a relegation battle. They are nowhere near the relegation zone in terms of battling it out to stay in the Premier League. They have secured themselves one of the few teams to have never been relegated from the EPL, even with the points deduction. So technically, this team is better than their points suggest. Could they
I mean,
possibly upset Arsenal on the final day?
Um, potentially anything is possible. It's probably down to the mindset, the mentality of the players. If I recall, this was one of those games that had tripped up Arsenal earlier in the season. I think Arsenal had lost. There were some questionable VAR decisions in that game. And there was a lot of complaining from Mikel Arteta. I think Arsenal lost 1-0 away, yeah. Um, yeah, but the goal I recall was a questionable offside VAR. Um, People were saying, hey, majority of people said it was offside, or there were a number of calls. A foul on Gabriel, offside, the ball was out of play. It was a number of things at the time. Strange,
The ball is wrong, and oftentimes refereeing decision is parts and parcels of the game as well. And
but
we as spectators and fans,
as
still get into heated debates based on these blunders or no calls, if you wanna put it down to that. So I mean, Everton is still a quality team, I would say. I mean, if you're a betting person, then you would definitely back Arsenal to get the 3 points going forward. But stranger things have happened. But they have been taking care of their business and keeping the pressure on Man City. So again, Sunday, another 3 points in the bag versus Manchester United. And what of Manchester United, Christoph? I mean, is this the end of Ten Hag, or will the United hierarchy persist with him going forward into next season?
um, I think it depends on the mentality of the hierarchy. Is it that they are for football, or like Cristiano Ronaldo said, for the marketing, and they make their money from sales or whatever, commercial sales? It depends. If their primary focus is on footballing, then it makes sense to get rid of Ten Hag. But as I have said, Ten Hag cannot take 100% of the blame, because a lot of players have underperformed. And not just players that Ten Hag has brought in, but players, long-standing players who have been there for a while, Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and it's more the younger players who I would say have more hunger that are performing. The Garnachos, the um Diallo, not
You know.
Mino. Right. Those are the players who are performing at the moment, giving what they got. I mean, we saw against Arsenal where, Casemiro definitely is not cut out to play centre back.
Definitely. Casemiro should probably just call it a day and retire to the Desert League, the league in Saudi Arabia, or possibly a last hurrah in the MLS. We see a number of players like Juro, for example, Christoph. He is now joined the retirement league in the MLS and will be looking for his final big payday, plying his trade for the LAFC. I mean, we see Messi, Suarez, a number of big names headed over there to Inter Miami as well. Busquets, almost like a Barcelona of all reunited, but these players are past their prime. And
Barcelona
as you say,
light.
marketability, that's pretty much one of the key facets why these players are now playing their trade in the MLS. So it's parts and parcels of the game. And Casemiro definitely, I mean, the last couple of games have definitely showed his deficiencies, even though you would say he's playing out of position, but even in that defensive midfield role, which he have plied his trade there for many a years, it seemed as if the legs have gone, that mobility no longer exists. And, he was never one of the better passers, so to speak, could hold his own. But, once the legs are not carrying you across the pitch anymore, then other facets of your game tend to become more exposed. And we have seen that from the Manchester United midfield: Casemiro, Eriksen, Amrabat. These are the guys who should be operating inside that engine room. But again, the engines they possess seem to have gone over the hill. They need a retooling in that midfield. And as you say, all the blame may not necessarily be that of Ten Hag, but he has to take a large majority of the blame. It is his team. He has had several transfer windows in which to transform this team and make it into what it is. I mean, he's the one who brought in the likes of a Amrabat, the likes of a Mason Mount, who have really not stepped up anywhere near their capabilities. And the position and results of Manchester United is there for us to see. But it is what it is. The season is winding down and the summer is fast approaching. Transfer windows and teams will be looking to really roll out old players and bring in a new set of players in order to move their club forward. But
Um,
Christoph, in terms of other results, what say you in terms of some of the other results which occurred over the weekend? I mean, Liverpool, for example, drawing 3-3 with Aston Villa today. Their game was on Monday. Uh, you know, that's another result
I
which
I
can
thought
have
that
some.
was I thought that was a shocking result, to be honest. I thought Liverpool would have won, the way the match was going, but to draw, sorry, from being 3-1 up. I mean, they went 1-0 up and then Villa equalized, but then to go 3-1 up and then draw in such a fashion seems, disappointing. I think it's a case of not only is Liverpool's defense weak, but I think Liverpool kind of mentally have checked out for the season, to be
Yeah,
honest.
definitely, clearly. Once they were out of the title race there, that was pretty much just seeing out the fixtures really and just trying to give Klopp a decent enough send off. But yeah, they checked out mentally, and another 3-3, but it's just systematic of the Liverpool we've seen this season, leaking goals, can't maintain a league, fighting from behind, giving up soft goals, really collapsing under pressure, so to speak, losing control of games when they should be in command, giving teams a sniff, which then teams take and then capitalize. It's been a characteristic trait of this Liverpool team all season. Of course, with quality players, those quality players have gotten them out of trouble on more than one occasion. But at some point in time, all these deficiencies, all these errors, all these tactical and systematic shifts would have caught up to them. But going forward, I mean, if these are the characteristic traits that this team is going to persist with, then they're going to have a torrid time, and you may very well see this team regress under whichever manager comes in to replace Klopp. So players definitely have to step up. I mean, a number of those goals today were as a result of individual mistakes. McAllister ball being pinched off him. Even Allison made a number of saves, which could have made this game even worse. Aston Villa could have easily won this game based on the number of chances created. Bailey had himself a really good game against this Liverpool defense as well. Ole Watkins was a standout, but it was the subs who came on and had the biggest impact. Duran coming up with a double, and that really shook the Liverpool team, and they held on for a 3-3 draw. But it's been systematic of Liverpool, and best of luck to the manager coming in to replace Klopp is all I would add to that.
Um, I, I do feel like Liverpool's issues could have been resolved in the January transfer window. I think failure to do any quality business in that window is what kind of lost Liverpool that, their title run. Knowing that you're suffering from so many injuries and not replacing a couple of players, um, especially that defensive midfield position. I mean, we saw where Endo came in and kind of won it, but perhaps shoring up the defense in January would have helped Liverpool push on to the final day of the title, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, injuries is all parts and parcels of the game as well. And, as you mentioned, in that January period, Liverpool was really devastated and depleted by injuries. The injuries to Salah, the midfield was decimated. A number of youngsters came in and did in fact make a mark. It was the youngsters who won Liverpool that Carling Cup trophy versus Chelsea. So kudos to Klopp for, really coming through with the youngsters. But as you said, shoring up possibly a transfer or two in the January window could have made
I
the difference,
mean,
but oftentimes it's hindsight.
it might not be, fully to blame Klopp because Klopp is going out. It could have been where the hierarchy said, hey, you're leaving, we're not going to give you any transfers right now, to be honest.
Definitely that's a big possibility as well. Plus, Liverpool have never really been big spenders when compared to other clubs. The Man Cities, the Chelseas, the Manchester Uniteds. Klopp was pretty much operating on a shoestring budget when compared to the bigger clubs. And when you look at the net spend of Klopp in comparison to other big teams, you would see that Klopp have done a more than tremendous job. You would have seen he has done more than an average bit of work to really bring this team from where they were to where he has brought them, winning at several titles. In fact, winning all the titles on offer during his tenure at Liverpool. So definitely kudos to Klopp. He has come in, done the job, and I'm sure as Liverpool fans would definitely thank him for his services. But as we know, the ball is rolling and the ball keep moving. So it's almost a case of next man up. And we are yet to see who will be appointed as the next Liverpool manager. But whoever comes in, quality players are there. Is just to get them operating in a system and get them playing some quality football. Maybe an addition or subtraction here or there.
A
You may
striker.
very well find the winning formula. But we'll see how it pans out. A number of youngsters. Gagpo is one of my favorite footballers currently, and we see where he is really stepping up and doing the business of late, back-to-back strikes. So, I mean, potential is there. Definitely potential is there. But Christophe, any final thoughts on this week's football action?
Definitely a pivotal weekend in the title race. Especially, both Arsenal and Man City keeping up the pressure on each other. Um, I think tomorrow's result will be a key result. We'll see. If Tottenham lose like I'm expecting them to be, then it's probably all Man City because I really don't see West Ham beating them. Given that West Ham have historically been a trouble team for Man City, but I don't see that being an issue this time around. And I think Man City win the title on the final day, unless Tottenham pull something out.
Definitely. Well, we'll be back, viewers and subscribers, on Thursday to pretty much preview the final week of the EPL, and we'll definitely see where the point standings are. Would Man City have beaten Spurs, or would Spurs have created one of the bigger upsets in the EPL of this season? We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, but we'll definitely be back to preview the last weekend of the EPL season. Of course, this is going to be a very busy summer, not only for football, but it's the summer of the Olympics as well. It's the summer of the Euros, and it is also the summer of the Copa America. So we are all set in terms of sporting activities, and we'll be right here to bring it to you. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for logging on and really joining us here on Beating the Press podcast. Thanks to Christophe again for really taking the time out of his busy schedule to come on board and share his thoughts and his opinions. Viewers and subscribers, if you haven't subscribed as yet, hit that subscription bell. And of course, continue to share the podcast, help us to continue to grow. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.